I actually really like this, and it just so you know, it is recording now. But I don't know. I really like this. Hadn't had something in a while that kind of engaged me, and I've always been interested in voice projects, and I feel like it's a good way to also kind of discover new things about acting or new perspectives, because I kind of gone around. I remember like last semester I was like, what gets you by day to day? And that was because I was mainly feeling down, but I was just like, there's some merit here, different perspectives, understanding how people cope with the adultness.
Well, with that being said,
we are opening the vault today. This is that really spiked. We're opening the vault. It is not November. It is December 2nd, 2017.
Where'd November go?
I'm Mason Banks.
I'm Dill and Dill Pickle Hobin.
This is, again, opening the vault.
We have another special guest on this week. Today we're here with
Jonathan Brugioni.
Brugioni.
Yeah.
Lovely M.F.A. student at SDSU.
And you don't have to speak as a grad student of here. You don't feel like you're a representative. If you want, we can steer away from program related. But mainly had questions that are general anyway. So first, who are you, and what is your experience in the acting world, musicals, straight plays, opera, anything?
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa, in the Des Moines area, and Des Moines is the capital of Iowa. It's right smack dab in the middle of the state. And I grew up in a suburb called Ankeny, and I didn't start musical theater until I was 16. I originally was a dance kid. I was probably 3rd grade, I think. It was probably around that time. And I went to watch my sister's dance recitals, like all the big brothers do, you know. You got to go to your sister's dance recital. And it was at this venue called C.Y. Stevens, which is this massive 2,900 seat theater on the campus of Iowa State University. And I was fascinated at how large that space was, especially as a kid. And what I was really fascinated with was the lights. And they had a couple gobos, like some stock looks for the dance recital. And I thought that was so cool how they were throwing that on the back psych. And I wanted to see how they were doing it. So I wanted to go backstage. And I asked my mom, can I go back there? And she said, well, no, only dancers can go back there. And so then the very next year I enrolled in dance classes.
Nice.
So that I could go back there. Not because I wanted to dance, but because I wanted to see the fly rail. And I wanted to see the lights and all of it. I wanted to see that aspect of it. And of course then I fell in love with dancing and movement, and I did that for about 10 years. And coming back from a dance competition, I got a call from my best friend, and he said, my older brother is auditioning for Footloose at the Des Moines Playhouse. You should go, because they're looking for guys in the ensemble to dance.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never done a musical. Yeah, this would be fun. And U.S. theater people know that first show is always opens everything up, and you're like, oh, this is incredible.
Sobbing uncontrollably backstage.
Yeah.
Why have I not?
Yeah, and you want to be a part of that for the rest of your life. And that, I think it was around 16. And that was the summer that I got my license, and the rest is history. And I didn't do theater right away in college. I actually started as an engineering major.
Hey.
Because I love the science and math and all that STEM stuff. I loved that in high school. But after a couple months of taking those classes, I realized that's just not what I wanted to do with my life. I still love that kind of stuff, and I'm still interested in all that, but I didn't want to make that my career. I wanted to be in the arts, and so I joined music because I wanted to be a teacher. So I studied music education and classical voice training. Right after college, I then taught for 3 years at a high school, and that was the point in my life when I realized I'm not doing exactly what I want to do. Exactly what I wanted to do was musical theater.
Yeah.
And that passion had started 10 years earlier when I was 16. And that's when I realized I had to go back. There was no other choice.
Yeah.
So that's when I applied to San Diego State here in the grad program, because I think that was going to give me the skills I needed and to open the doors that I needed to pursue musical theater beyond just a hobby and make that my career. And then here I am.
Yeah, well, it's been a pleasure watching you guys. I was talking with you about this a little bit before, how we kind of place people on pedestals, and then then you talk with them, or you hear genuine conversations, like, oh, they're human. He's complaining about, I don't know, toiletries, or like how the Starbucks line was long, or like, or just normal challenges. And I think it's what I really like about this is that we get to and we get to talk to people and learn new things, and just kind of brings you closer to people. Like, we're, ironically, this is going to be released through social media, but we talk to people, sit down, like, oh, like, what's your perspective? And I actually never knew that you had a dance background. I did not know that. So you did 10 years of it. Was it? Did you do like mainly ballet? Was it contemporary? Was it like commercial jazzes?
I started because this was mid to late '90s, so it was kind of that like '90s jazz kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Is what I started in. I didn't do ballet till I think it was my second or third year, because you have a young boy, and so tap and jazz are the things that really excited me, and so that's what I did. But when I got into ballet, I fell in love with that as well, and the history behind that particular art form, and just the essence of how noble that particular art form was. And I did a lot of ballet productions in my teens. I did the Nutcracker Ballet with the theater for I think 6 or 7 years.
Oh, wow.
In various roles. Most of them I was the Nutcracker Prince, but I also did the Arabian Prince or the Snow Prince. So I loved doing and I did Stravinsky's Firebird one year. So I really enjoyed doing actual productions of ballets rather than competitive dance. I did the competitive circuit as a kid because that's just what dance studios do, especially in the Midwest.
Yeah.
You go to dance competitions, you travel around the country, and I enjoyed that. But as I got older, every subsequent year I liked it less and less, because I felt like this isn't really what art should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the competitive aspect of it. Even if I was successful, I still it wasn't fulfilling me.
It could be very toxic from what I've seen.
Absolutely. Because then you get these rival studios and these rival dancers and
arch nemesis.
Yeah, and that's not why we do this.
It's funny when you watch it in a movie, but then you experience it and you realize that there's no resolution to that conflict, and it's just Bethany really hates Amber. Like, I'm just inventing names there. I don't mean to I don't mean to stereotype. So I guess so you have a dance background, you have a musical theater background. Do you have any straight play background?
I didn't do much at all until college, and I did a couple middle school plays. You do. But it wasn't until college, before I took any sort of formal straight acting, and there really wasn't a lot at all, especially as a music major. There wasn't a lot of crossover between music and theater, which is the same here at SDSU. Although, what I did like about Iowa State is there are no graduate students in music and theater, and so the collaboration, there was no set theater graduates or set music graduates to take roles or anything, and so it was a really collaborative effort between the two departments to put together productions. Which that is how I got a lot of my theater experience in college, because the theater department, when they're putting up a musical, would dial the number of the music department. Hey, we need some singers, because there wasn't a formal musical theater degree at my university. So to get singers, they had to reach their hand across to the music department. And so that was an incredibly healthy and fun, amazing collaboration between the two departments. And the department heads love each other. It's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful atmosphere to work in. So that's where a lot of my acting kind of training came from. But really, I didn't take any acting classes because I didn't have to. I think for straight plays, there was always a 10-minute play festival every fall and a 1-act play festival in spring.
Yeah.
And I did that every year. And that's where I got a lot of my straight play experience. Although very small and little, it was still...
It still helps.
Yeah, especially as a music major, that was a good way to get that straight play experience without being a theater major.
Mm.
And it was a blast. I love doing... Because, you know, those
Yeah.
10-minute play festivals is always the weird scripts that, you know, you're not going to do it to sell tickets. You do it because you want to be fulfilled artistically, and I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
These are the most fun stuff.
Mhm.
Or the short stuff where it's not some higher overarching like statement about something. It's just it's a moment,
Mhm.
or it's pure fun,
Yeah.
or it's pure comedy, or it's like some weirdly, oddly zany physical comedy, which I love.
Mhm.
I love physical comedy. So I have a little bit of a musical theater background, like as far as doing more ensembles, and I'm wondering, I guess first of all, how do you get into a role? Like, is it something you follow more with the music and what that's kind of portraying for your character, or is there something that you've learned as far as like textual analysis, or like how do you get into a role?
I think for me it's very different because I'm coming from a music degree, and especially the performance techniques and the performance practice that I studied is very much rooted into the classical world and the opera world.
Mhm.
And so when you're putting together an art song or a role with an opera, the music is a substantially larger part of a role compared to musical theater.
Mhm.
The composer's opinions are very, very strong and almost in the forefront. And so when you hear a particular phrase and it wants to go somewhere, it's normally because that's what the composer is trying to give you clues as to what that character is feeling.
Mhm.
Not that musical theater doesn't do that. It certainly does. But the balance of the importance of the music is just different. And so when I come into the musical theater world, I have the tendency to really look at and hear the music and be influenced by the music first,
Mhm.
rather than the text. And I'm trying to make sure that I approach it. I'd like to approach things from the text first, because I think that's just where the heart of everything lies.
Yeah.
And the music can help inform your decisions. But I'm still working through my own process.
Yeah.
Because especially coming here to grad school at SDSU and taking the acting classes and the musical theater performance classes here have really changed my opinion and my approach. And so I'm kind of rebuilding from the ground up
Mhm.
again, which is very frustrating. But I think that's the point of grad school, is to make you re-examine how you're doing everything so that you can continue to grow and continue to build. So I haven't quite figured out my particular process that I like. And I don't think as an actor you should settle on, I think it should always continue to grow and morph. But I think for this current role with Briggs, with Enchanted April, it's a brand new role because it's a new musical, and so I didn't
Oh,
have
I didn't know
any
that.
opinion prior because no one's ever done it. It was done once at a theater in San Francisco, but even the version that we're doing now here at SDSU is an edited version that no one's ever
Revised,
done
changed.
yet. So this is the first time I've ever created a role from the ground up without any prior knowledge, and it has been so challenging but so much fun.
Yeah.
Once you unlock it. And I had a hard time because there are scenes that I just wasn't understanding. The scene between Briggs and Caroline when they're meeting in Caroline's hideaway.
Yeah.
Scrap.
Yes,
Scrappini.
and she's got the
Tapestries.
the scarves hung on the line, and because that whole conversation likes to just spin and it becomes this little banter argument.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to unlock the essence of it. Oh, there's a dog here in the studio.
With subtext of kind of flirtatious and planting seeds.
And that was hard for us to discover. Where is the flirtatiousness? Where is the subtext? And what subtext do we want? Because the possibilities are endless in that scene of what's actually being said underneath the text.
Yeah.
And that was hard for us to discover where's that balance and what do we want to do with it. And it wasn't until we actually just got up and played before it actually unlocked. Because we sat down and we stressed over the text and we sat in Stephen's office and we just kind of went, especially for me, because I'm still struggling with finding how I want to analyze a text as an actor, and I'm just not very efficient at it yet. But I was really frustrated because I just wasn't unlocking what was the essence of this particular scene. And it wasn't until Stephen finally just said, just go see what happens, just play. And that's, I think sometimes as theater people, we just forget that that's the heart of what we do, is just play. That's why it's called a play, you know? And that's when it got unlocked, when we could physically start to just go out there and do things. And I think it got to a really nice place. It's one of my favorite scenes in the show. Yeah.
One thing I noticed about that scene is it's one of the longer dialogue scenes in the show.
And there's no music.
No music, no score, but it's just you two up there interacting. And you could see that kind of relationship building, even from the previous scene when she was messing with you and shaking the tambourine in your face. All of that just added to the believability of that relationship ultimately at the end of the play. So, important scene. It was funny and it was touching. It was a good scene.
I like it that it doesn't give it away. It doesn't give away everything in that scene. It is, like you said, it's building the relationship, but it doesn't establish the relationship quite yet. And I really like that because it leaves the door open for more possibilities later in the play. And it's also fun to work with Katie, who is just brilliant.
Oh yeah.
Period. You know, she's brilliant.
She is.
It is always so much fun to rehearse that scene because I feel like I can trust her and she can trust me, and we can just, there's no wrong answer kind of thing.
Yeah.
We can just go out there and do it. And especially in rehearsals, just to play and try things, and there's that respect for each other and that trust, and that's how the creativity can thrive when the two actors are on the same page.
It's always fun to do that. I remember as far as the playing and the musical, I remember Stephen would give us an exercise in the first class I had with him, and he gave us a bunch of different intentions, like on these little pieces of paper. He's like, you're not going to tell the other scene partner what it is during the song. This was like a duet. And he would, and like, I remember one time mine was to chase her, and then hers was to run from me. And it happened to pick those two at that exercise. And I remember it was so like, because you get this rigidity, you're like, okay, who is this character? And then you're like, oh, there's this, and this. And then you play that. And if it doesn't work, you're like, like at least I am. And I remember, I remember liking that exercise because it let me a little bit wiggle room.
Just interaction.
Like interaction. Like I love improvisation because like you create the moments, and like I feel like that's like the best part of it, of acting, is like when you create a moment and it wasn't necessarily planned but it's still true, and then you're just like, fuck yeah, or excuse me, freak yeah, for my younger listeners, freak yeah.
That's the first one on the podcast.
We had that moment last night in that same scene with Katie and I, where she threw the tarot cards.
Oh, and they just went everywhere.
And they went everywhere.
I was wondering if that was planned or not.
Well, ideally, we want the tarot cards to stay on the little mat, so she can just pick it up and go. But nope, because the stage was slick, and away they go.
I know the moment you're talking about. You talking about the hand moment?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. That was completely not.
That was beautiful.
And it kind of startled us.
It looked like that was built into the scene.
It did. Cause I remember I was like thinking like, because that was the first time I had like really, really watched that scene. I was like, that looks new. Was I just not paying attention? Or
Well, and I knew that I needed to help her get the tarot cards because the scene didn't have any opportunity for her to pick them up herself in the time that was needed to go on to the next scene. And so I thought, well, Briggs would help her.
Sure,
and so
he's a gentleman.
Started picking up the cards, and we reached for the same card at the same time, and our hands stopped.
And it was like the last card. I was just like, freaking genius.
It was
like grad students.
couldn't do that twice if we tried.
Yeah. I remember seeing, she threw the cards in your face and just went, all right, what do we do? Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, what would Briggs do in this? Yeah. He would pick them up. He would. Yeah, okay, go for it. Just go. There's no wrong answer.
So, like, have you found any musical skills that you feel like have translated over and are influencing and helping more the acting side of the musical theater?
Yes, definitely. I think, especially because I studied conducting, because of my music education, a lot of it was conducting, and being able to hear a score and look at a score and see a score and really understand the essence of a score. Because as the conductor, you hold the score in your hand. I mean, literally. And so you are shaping and you're pushing and you're pulling with your orchestra or your singers, whatever it may be. And so you have control of how that music is portrayed, and it's your job as the conductor to unlock that. And then at the same time, it's your job to send that essence out to your ensemble so that they can then generate it. And so those kind of skills, when I get to look at a musical theater piece, I can take those skills and look at a score and, okay, what is the essence of what's happening here? For instance, in Rose Rose, as an example, since we're, Enchanted April's happening right now, there's the section after Briggs does the big Puccini aria spoof, and he's singing, and then the train conductor comes in and interrupts him and walks on. The section right after that, if you listen to the score, the piano likes to just kind of plink and plunk everywhere, and it doesn't seem to want to have a tonal center, and it doesn't want to settle. It just kind of wanders. And then you look at the text, and you realize that was completely intentional, because Briggs is doubting himself, and his melody line is very disjunct, and it doesn't want to make a nice, beautiful phrase. It stops and starts, and he even puts rests in between words, so it just feels very jagged, because he's trying to convince himself that, no, I can do this, I can go to Rose, and I can find her love, but he's doubting himself in that moment, and that's the essence of that particular section, and I got that right away. That was something that I didn't need the music director to help me get there, because my understanding of hearing a score and unlocking the essence of what the composer's trying to do, that skill is easier for me because of my music degree and my music background. On the other hand, on the flip side, text analysis is harder for me, and I have to spend a lot more time understanding the text of it, because my first instinct is to go to the essence of the music rather than the text. And so I have to constantly remind myself that the answers lie within the text, as well as the music. But that's my challenge, and what I'm hoping to continue to work on in grad school is deeper, more meaningful text analysis.
So that brings up an interesting thing. So, like, so do you ever have these days where you're just banging your head on the wall and you're just like, and I guess, well, from that, he nodded.
yes, I do. And that's like 90% of grad school.
Well, what motivates you? This is a question I'm really interested. What motivates you to push through that? Like, what? For me personally, I'll give an example. Like, it's always to kind of prove that I can do everything that non-diabetics can. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's like validating that kind of day by day.
Yeah.
And so what is it for you that pushes you through these, like, frustrating moments?
Just not gonna lie, grad school has been incredibly difficult. Not just the work, but just mentally. It's very, very difficult, because one of the points of grad school is to show you where you need work, almost exclusively. So everything we do is designed to show you where you're not up to par, at least for me. And that day in and day out, feeling like nothing you do is good, it really drags you down. And I have really struggled with that. And I still continue to struggle with it. And it's been very difficult, and I'm not successful sometimes with putting that negativity away. And it gets to me, and there are days where it completely affects how I am and how I function, which in turn then makes my art less creative because that doubt weighs everything down. I think what helps me is a sense of hope that everything is happening to make me better, and even though I'm not there now or where I want to be, whatever there is for each person, that because of the things that I'm doing, it's going to make me better in the end. I also, and I want to talk about when you said this idea of like proving yourself.
Validating day by day.
I also have that. I walk around with a big chip on my shoulder, and I'm trying to reduce that. And I think chip on your shoulder because I was a music major and not a theater major. So like this sense of like, oh, I got to prove myself that I can hang with the theater people even though I don't have a degree, which is dumb. Or this idea of, I'm not from the coasts, so I have something to prove there. Or, I come from a small state that, the arts are not, it's, you know what I mean? Like whatever,
sure.
Yeah, whatever these thoughts and doubts are. And so I carry this chip on my shoulder that I always want to like prove myself to you, or I have to, and I'm starting to realize that what I thought was a healthy motivation to help give me the drive, I'm starting to discover that maybe that's, for me personally, might not be the healthy approach anymore.
Yeah.
That I need to think less of trying to prove myself and rather just improve myself. And that, I think, is helping. Because when I try to prove myself and I don't succeed, it just reinforces all that negativity again.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm chasing something that I'm not going to ever achieve, because it kind of goes back to this sense of competitive dance when I was a kid. That's not why we do it.
Yeah.
We don't do it to be better than someone or to prove yourself. And as an artist, we always want to be respected for our art. And I think there's a difference between being respected for your art and proving your art. I don't think you have to prove your art. I think if your art exists,
it's proof
that's
itself.
Good enough. Yes,
Oh,
that is
wow.
proof in itself. And that, I think what is the key is finding what is your art and what do you want to say. And if you're saying it, then you've succeeded. And that's hard because our art form is a commercial art form. I mean, it always has been, especially at the highest level.
Oh yeah.
Since the vaudeville days, like it was always intended to make money, and you can't get around that. So you can either accept that and let that help drive you to if you want to become a professional. Or you can say, that's great that the art form is a commercial art form. I'm still going to make my art for a non-commercial reason, for fulfilling reasons. But you can't deny that. And I think it's, again, if your definition of success is either financial success or being accepted by the commercial world side of theater, but that's not what your art is, then it's not going to jive. If your art is not intended to be commercial, then let it not be commercial, and let it be what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
It's if it was easy, somebody would have figured it out, and we all would have been like, "Oh, this is the perfect way to approach
this is
your career as an artist."
Yes, this is the equation.
Right. There is no equation,